The cargo hold smelled like fear and metal. Tejo stood against the cold wall, his hands bound with energy cuffs that burned if he moved too fast. Around him, 300 people from New Haven Colony pressed together in silence. Some were crying. Most had given up crying hours ago. The ship hummed beneath their feet. Tejo didn't know where they were going. He only knew they weren't going home. The attack had come at dawn. The colonists were eating breakfast when the sky turned dark with ships. Nobody had time to run. Nobody had time to fight. The aliens, the Vrelians, someone had whispered, moved through New Haven like machines. They took everyone. Young, old, healthy, sick. It didn't matter. They took them all. Well, almost all. Tejo looked across the hold and found Yuna's eyes. She was pressed between two families, her medical bag long since taken away. Her face was dirty and her uniform torn, but she held her head up. Next to her, Dong Hyun was talking quietly to a scared child, showing him a small piece of wire and making it bend into shapes. Even here, even now, the engineer was trying to fix things. The door at the far end opened with a hiss. The prisoners pulled back like a wave. 3 Vrelians entered the hold. Tejo had never seen anything like them before today. They stood 7 feet tall, covered in dark shell-like armor that seemed to be part of their bodies. 4 arms, each ending in sharp claws, eyes like black glass that showed nothing. When they moved, they clicked and hummed, sounds that made human ears hurt. Behind them came another figure. This one was different, larger. Older, maybe, if aliens aged like humans did. The armor on this one had marks and symbols carved into it. Battle scars, Tejo guessed. This one had fought for a long time. "I am Vrelkar," the alien said. His voice came from a translator box on his chest, turning his clicks into flat, emotionless words. "You are cargo now. You will be sorted. You will be sold. You will serve." A woman near the front sobbed. The alien's head turned toward the sound but showed no reaction. Vrelkar walked slowly through the prisoners. He looked at faces, at hands, at the way people stood or cowered. Sometimes he would point, and another Vrelian would mark something on a device. Sorting, Tejo realized. They were being sorted like objects. The alien commander moved closer. People backed away from him, but there was nowhere to go. The hold was packed tight. Then Vrelkar stopped in front of Tejo. The alien stared down at him. Tejo felt those black eyes studying him, measuring him. His heart pounded so hard he thought it might break through his chest, but he didn't look away. "You are the captain of this colony," Vrelkar said. It wasn't a question. "I was," Tejo said quietly. "You failed to protect them." Tejo's throat tightened. Yes, he expected the alien to move on. Instead, Vrelkar leaned closer. "You do not beg, why?" The question surprised Tejo. He thought about it, about the screaming and pleading that had filled the colony streets that morning, about the prayers and promises people had made while being dragged to the ships. None of it had mattered. Would it change anything? Tejo asked. For a long moment, Vrelkar was silent. Then something that might have been a laugh rattled from his translator. "No. Then why?" Tejo said. The words came out before he could stop them. "Why take us? What did we do to you?" The other Vrelians turned to look. Some of the prisoners gasped. Nobody questioned the Vrelians. Nobody dared. But Vrelkar didn't strike him. Instead, the alien tilted his head, like a bird examining something curious. "You ask why?" "Yes. In 3 centuries of raids, no human has ever asked me why." Vrelkar's claws tapped against each other, click, click, click. They scream, they weep. They offer things they cannot give. They curse gods who do not listen. But they never ask why. "I'm asking," Tejo said. Vrelkar straightened to his full height. "Because you are weak. Because the weak exist to serve the strong. This is the law of the universe. The Vrelian Empire is strong. Humanity is weak. Therefore you serve." The words hit like a physical blow. Simple, final, absolute. "Then teach me," Tejo said. His voice shook but held. "Teach me to be strong." The translator made a sound like breaking glass. Laughter. The other Vrelians were laughing at him. "You? Strong?" Vrelkar leaned down until his face was inches from Tejo's. "You stand here in chains, having lost everything. Your colony burns. Your people are cargo. You will never see your world again. And you ask to be strong?" "Yes." Vrelkar stared at him. The laughter stopped. In the silence, Tejo heard someone breathing behind him. Yuna, probably. Or maybe Donghyun. His people. His responsibility, his failure. Then Vrelkar did something that made no sense. He reached out and touched the energy cuffs on Taiho's wrists. They opened with a click and fell to the floor. What? Taiho started. A curiosity, Vrelkar said. In 3 centuries you are the first to ask. The first to show something other than fear or rage. I wonder what makes you different. He turned to the other Vrelians and spoke in their clicking language. They responded with what sounded like protests, but Vrelkar cut them off with a sharp gesture. You are free, the commander said to Taiho. What? One mercy, human. One only in all my years of taking your kind. I spare you. Vrelkar pointed toward the door. You will be taken to an escape pod. You will be released near a shipping lane where your people patrol. You will survive. I don't understand, Taiho said. Why? Because I am curious what you will do with mercy. Most species forget. They return to their lives and pretend the horror never touched them. The alien's eyes glittered. But I do not think you will forget. I think you will remember. And I want to see what a human does with that memory. 2 Vrelians grabbed Taiho's arms. He tried to resist, tried to stay, but they were far stronger. They dragged him toward the door. No. Taiho shouted. Let me stay. Take me with them. Go, Vrelkar said. Return to your kind. Tell them the Vrelians are coming. Tell them the raids will continue. Tell them their colonies will fall, one by one. Tell them you watched and could do nothing. The last thing Taiho saw before the door closed was Yuna's face. She mouthed something. He couldn't hear through the thick door, but he could read her lips. Come back for us. They threw him into an escape pod. The door sealed. Through the small window he watched the massive Vrelian ship. The captured transport vessel attached to its side. Somewhere inside, 300 people he had promised to protect were being carried away to slavery. The pod's automated system activated. Rockets fired. The ship grew smaller, then vanished as the pod entered a jump portal. Taiho pressed his hands against the window. He was free. He was alive. He was alone, and he had just been given the most dangerous gift the Vrelians could have offered. Hope. 9 months. That's how long Taiho had been back on Earth. 9 months of meetings and reports and committees. 9 months of people nodding sympathetically and doing nothing. He sat in the military command center in Seoul, watching Admiral Jiwoo talk to a screen full of politicians. They were debating. Again. The same debate they had been having for 9 months. New Haven was an unauthorized colony, a man in an expensive suit said. These people knew the risks when they settled outside protected space. They're still human citizens, another voice argued. Are they? They gave up Earth citizenship when they left. Taiho's hands tightened on the arms of his chair. He had told them everything. He had shown them the pod's sensor logs, the images of the Vrelian ships, the location data. He had given them every piece of information he had, and they were still talking. Admiral Jiwoo caught his eye. She looked tired. She had been fighting for months to get authorization for a rescue mission, but the military council kept blocking her. Too risky, they said. Too expensive. Too likely to start a war, as if the war hadn't already started. The meeting ended like all the others. More studies, more analysis, more time wasted while 300 people suffered in slavery. Taiho walked out of the building into the cold night air. He needed to move, to do something, or he would start breaking things. Captain, he turned. A woman stood in the shadows near the building's entrance. Military uniform, but the rank insignia was covered. She stepped into the light. Hana, she said, offering her hand. Special Forces. I've been following your case. Everyone's been following my case, Taiho said bitterly. Nobody's doing anything about it. I am. That made him look at her more carefully. Hana was small but carried herself like a weapon. Her eyes were hard. My brother was on a mining colony in the outer systems, she said quietly. 5 years ago, raiders hit them. Nobody came back. No bodies, no survivors, nothing. Just gone. She paused. I believe you, Captain, and I want to help. The military won't authorize. I'm not talking about authorization. Taiho stared at her. You're talking about going anyway. I'm talking about getting your people back. Hana pulled out a small device and handed it to him. Meet me at these coordinates tomorrow night. Come alone, and don't tell anyone. She walked away before he could respond. The coordinates led him to an old warehouse near the military shipyard. Taiho arrived after dark, half expecting a trap. Instead, he found 5 people waiting inside. Hana was there, along with 4 others. She introduced them quickly. Sung Min, she said, pointing to a man with gray in his hair and old pilot tattoos on his arms. Best pilot in the fleet until he got court-martialed for refusing an order. The order was to abandon civilians under fire, Sung Min said calmly. So yes, I refused. Yoonji, Hana continued. A young woman with bright eyes and 3 different personal computers hanging from her bag nodded. She can hack anything with a processor. Anything. It's like math, Yoonji said cheerfully. Very fun math, Jae-sung. A man with medic patches on his jacket. Marine Corps, 20 years. Retired last year. Got bored, Jae-sung said with a shrug. And Mi Young. The last person was a woman covered in grease stains, holding a complicated tool. Engineering genius. She can make ships do things the designers never imagined. Ships want to fly, Mi Young said simply. I just help them. Taeho looked at them. Why are you here? Because someone needs to do something, Hana said. And we're someone. The military won't help us, Taeho said. We're not asking for help. Hana pulled up a hologram in the center of the room. It showed a ship. This is the Ghost Wind. Stealth corvette, newest model, experimental systems. She's in the military yard for final testing. You want to steal a military ship? Taeho said slowly. I want to borrow it, Hana corrected. To rescue 300 people. That's insane. Yes, Sungmin agreed. It is. I'm in, Jae-sung said. Obviously in, Yoonji added. Mi Young just smiled. Taeho looked at each of them. They were serious. They were actually going to do this. We'll be criminals, he said. We'll be criminals who saved 300 lives, Hana replied. I can live with that. For the first time in 9 months, Taeho felt something other than frustration. He felt hope. When do we leave? The next week was a blur. Yoonji hacked into the military database and found probable locations for the Vrelian slave markets. Mi Young studied the Ghost Wind's systems and planned modifications. Sungmin plotted courses that would avoid patrol routes. Jae-sung gathered medical supplies. Hana assembled weapons. Taeho coordinated everything, feeling like a captain again instead of a witness. The night of the theft, they moved quickly. Yoonji disabled the shipyard security while Mi Young opened the Ghost Wind's access doors. The crew boarded through the cargo bay while Sungmin went straight to the pilot's seat. Beautiful, Sungmin whispered, running his hands over the controls. She's so beautiful. She's a stolen military vessel, Taeho reminded him. A beautiful stolen military vessel. Alarms started blaring 3 minutes after they powered up the engines. Taeho expected defense systems to activate, expected the military to lock them down. Instead, Admiral Jiwoo's face appeared on the communication screen. Captain Taeho, she said. Her expression was neutral. That ship is not authorized for departure. I know, Admiral. Taking it is a court-martial offense. I know. Jiwoo was quiet for a moment. Then, very slightly, she nodded. I'll need to report this theft. Protocol requires a 30-minute investigation before I can sound a full alert. 30 minutes. More than enough time to get clear of Earth space. Thank you, Admiral, Taeho said quietly. I never said that, Jiwoo replied. And, Captain? Bring them home. The screen went dark. She's giving us a head start, Hana said, surprised. She's doing what she can within the rules, Taeho said, while we do what needs to be done outside them. The Ghost Wind lifted smoothly out of the dock. Sungmin guided her through the shipyard with practiced ease, weaving between larger vessels. Within minutes, they were clear of the yard and accelerating toward orbit. Earth fell away behind them. Ahead lay the dark of deep space and the route to the outer systems where the Vrelian markets operated. Course plotted, Sungmin announced. 3 weeks to the core station if we push the engines. Core station? Taeho asked. The biggest flesh market in neutral space, Yoonji said, pulling up data. According to the signals I've been tracking, that's where the New Haven prisoners are. They haven't been sold yet. The Vrelians are holding them for a bulk auction. 3 weeks, Taeho said. 3 weeks to plan. 3 weeks to prepare. 3 weeks until he either saved his people or died trying. Captain? Mi Young's voice came over the intercom. I'm reading some unusual power fluctuations in the stealth systems. Can you fix it? Can I fix it? Mi Young sounded offended. I can make it better than new. Despite everything, Taeho smiled. This crew of criminals and outcasts might actually have a chance. All right, he said, looking at the faces around him. Let's go over the plan. We're going into the largest slave market in known space with no backup and no support. We need to find 300 people, get them out, and escape with our lives. Sounds simple, Jae-sung said dryly. It won't be, Tae-ho said, but we're going to do it anyway. Because 9 months ago Yuna had said come back for us. And Tae-ho was a man who kept his promises, even when keeping them meant stealing ships and starting wars. The ghost wind jumped to hyperspace, leaving Earth behind. Ahead, somewhere in the dark, 300 people were waiting for a rescue they probably thought would never come. They were wrong. The core station hung in space like a metal city, lights glittering across its surface. Tae-ho stood on the ghost wind's bridge staring at it through the viewport. Somewhere inside that massive structure, 300 people from New Haven were being held. It's bigger than I expected, Hana said quietly beside him. 15 miles across, Yoonji read from her console. Population of approximately 2 million. 50 different docking sectors. And that's just what the public records show. Tae-ho felt the weight of it. They were 6 people trying to break into a city in space. 6 people against 2 million. We stick to the plan, he said, more to himself than anyone else. The plan was simple, which meant it probably wouldn't work, but it was all they had. The ghost wind approached the station under a fake registration that Yoonji had created. To any scanners, they looked like an independent trading vessel from a neutral world. Just another ship coming to do business at the markets. The docking controller cleared them without question. Apparently, the core station welcomed anyone with money, no matter where they came from. They docked in a sector that smelled like chemicals and unwashed bodies. The station's interior was dark and crowded, with beings from dozens of species moving through narrow corridors. Some wore expensive clothes. Others wore chains. The crew split up. Hana and Sungmin headed toward the auction halls, posing as buyers. Jae-sung and Mi-young went to scout the docking areas and plan escape routes. Yoonji stayed on the ship to hack into the station's systems. That left Tae-ho to do the most dangerous part. He walked through the station's main markets, seeing things that would haunt him for the rest of his life. Beings in cages, children crying, species he didn't recognize, all chained and marked with price tags. The casual cruelty of it made his stomach turn. Guards were everywhere. Most weren't Vrelian. The station hired from multiple species, all of them large and well-armed. They watched the crowds with bored expressions like this was just another day at work. Tae-ho found a public communication terminal and did something insane. He sent a message to Vrelkar. The response came faster than he expected. The human who was spared. Vrelkar's voice came through the translator. You are either very brave or very stupid to come here. I need to speak with you, Tae-ho said. Why would I speak to cargo? Because I came back. You said you were curious what I would do with Mercy. Well, here I am. There was a long pause. Then, Sector 7, private meeting rooms, 1 hour. Come alone. The connection ended. Tae-ho walked back toward the ship, checking to make sure he wasn't followed. He contacted the crew through their secure channel. He agreed to meet, Tae-ho said. That's good, right? Jae-sung's voice crackled through the earpiece. Or it's a trap, Hana countered. Probably both, Tae-ho agreed. What did you find at the auctions? Hana's voice went flat. Horrors. We found horrors. I've never seen anything like this. They're selling people like furniture, Captain. Families are being split up. Children are going for premium prices because they're easier to train. Tae-ho closed his eyes. Did you find our people? No, they're not in the general auctions. Yoonji, what do you have? Yoonji's excited voice came through. Found them. Section 17 in premium holding. The Vrelians are keeping the New Haven prisoners separate because they're negotiating with multiple buyers. They haven't set a final price yet. Can we access Section 17? Tae-ho asked, not easily. Heavy security, multiple checkpoints, biometric scanners. We'd need someone on the inside to open the doors. Or a major distraction, Mi-young added. That's what the meeting with Vrelkar was supposed to provide. A distraction, a delay, anything to give them time. The hour passed too quickly. Tae-ho walked to Sector 7, knowing this might be the last walk he ever took as a free man. The meeting room was small and gray. Vrelkar sat on the other side of a table, his massive form barely fitting in the space. 4 guards stood at the corners of the room, weapons ready. You came, Vrelkar said. I said I would. I thought you would return to your world and forget. Most species do. They take the mercy given and try to rebuild their lives. The alien leaned forward. But not you. You came to the heart of the flesh markets. Why? You know why, Tejo said. You have 300 people from my colony. I have 300 pieces of valuable cargo, yes. They're people. They are what I say they are. Tejo took a breath. This was the moment. I challenge you to a contest. An old tradition. I saw it in the cultural database. Vrelians respect strength. You test opponents through ritual combat. Vrelkar's translator made that glass-breaking laugh sound. You want to fight me? I want a challenge for their freedom. You would lose. Probably, Tejo agreed. But you said you were curious about me. About what humans do with mercy. Here's your answer. We come back. We fight even when we can't win. And we never abandon our own. The alien was silent for a long moment. And if you lose this challenge? Then I join them in chains. You get the captain and the colonist. And if somehow you win, they go free. More of that strange laughter. Your species is fascinating. You know you cannot defeat me. You know this is suicide. Yet you offer anyway. Yes, Vrelkar stood. He towered over Tejo, all 7 feet of armored killing machine. Very well, I accept. The arena, 2 days from now. Ritual combat between us. Winner claims the stakes. 2 days? The arena must be prepared. Announcements must be made. This will be entertainment for the station. Vrelkar leaned down. I will make your death quick, human. That is its own mercy. We'll see, Tejo said. He left the meeting room on shaking legs. 2 days. They had 2 days to find a way to cheat, to escape, to do something other than watch him die in an arena. Back on the ship, the crew gathered. You bought us time, Hana said. That's good. I also put myself in an arena with a Vrelian warrior, Tejo pointed out. That's less good, Jae-sung admitted. Can you win? Mi-young asked. No. Not in a fair fight. Then we don't fight fair, Hana said. We use the arena as a distraction. While everyone's watching you get killed, thanks for the confidence. We break out the prisoners and get to the ship. Yoonji was already typing. I can broadcast a message to Section 17. Tell them to be ready. How? Tejo asked. The station has an entertainment network. I can piggyback a signal on a frequency humans can hear but other species can't. It's a medical frequency, actually, used for hearing aids and implants. Do it, Tejo said. Let them know someone came back. That night, while Tejo tried to sleep, Yoonji sent the message. In Section 17, Yuna heard it. At first, she thought she was imagining things. 9 months of captivity did that to people. But then she heard it again, clear as day in a frequency that made her ears ring slightly. Extraction in 72 hours. Be ready. Tejo came back. She found Dong-hyun in the communal area where they were allowed to gather. He was sitting with some of the other engineers, sharing technical knowledge to keep their minds sharp. Did you hear that? She whispered. Hear what? She realized the frequency was high enough that not everyone could detect it. Yuna had always had sensitive hearing. She grabbed Dong-hyun's arm and pulled him to a corner. Someone's coming for us, she said. Tejo, he's here. Dong-hyun stared at her. That's impossible, I heard a message. 72 hours. Yuna, we're in the middle of the biggest slave market in the galaxy. Nobody's coming, but she saw something in his eyes. Hope. Dangerous, painful hope. We need to be ready anyway, she said. Just in case, Dong-hyun nodded slowly. For 9 months, he had been watching the guards, memorizing patrol patterns, noting weaknesses. He had done it to keep his mind busy, not because he thought they would ever escape. Now maybe that information would matter. I'll spread the word, he said quietly. Carefully. We can't let the guards know. Over the next 2 days, 300 people who had given up hope started hoping again. They didn't know how rescue would come. They didn't know if it even could, but they knew someone had come back for them, and sometimes that's all the hope you need. The arena was bigger than Tejo had imagined. It stretched 300 feet across, surrounded by thousands of seats carved into the station's metal walls. Beings from a dozen different species filled those seats, all of them here to watch him die. He stood in the center of the arena floor, wearing simple combat clothes. No armor, no weapons except what his body could do. Across from him, Krelvar waited. The Vrelian champion was even larger than Vrelkar, built like a tank with 4 arms that ended in blades. This is your last chance to surrender. Vrelkar's voice boomed over the arena speakers. Submit now and your death will be painless. Taeho looked up at the command box where Vrelkar sat. No. The crowd roared. Somewhere in that crowd, Hana and Sungmin watched from seats they had purchased. They wore concealed weapons and earpieces, waiting for the moment to move. Below the arena, in the maintenance tunnels that Mi-young had mapped, Jae-sung waited with explosives rigged to the station's power grid. On the ghost wind, Yoonji's fingers flew across her keyboard. She was ready to release every lock in Section 17 simultaneously. All she needed was the signal. The signal would be Taeho's blood. A horn sounded. The fight began. Krelvar moved faster than something that large should be able to move. He crossed the distance in seconds, forearms swinging. Taeho dove to the side, feeling the air move as the blades missed him by inches. He rolled, came up running, tried to put distance between them. But the arena was only so big, and Krelvar was built for this. The Vrelian caught him with a backhand that sent Taeho flying. He hit the arena wall and fell, tasting blood. The crowd loved it. Get up, Taeho told himself. Get up, he stood. Krelvar was already coming again. This time Taeho didn't dodge. He couldn't keep dodging forever. Instead, he stepped forward inside the reach of those long arms and drove his fist into the joint where Krelvar's armor plates met. It was like punching a wall. Pain shot up Taeho's arm, but Krelvar made a sound, a clicking hiss that might have been surprise. Then the Vrelian's blade arm came down and opened a cut across Taeho's shoulder. Blood. First blood. The signal. In the tunnels, Jae-sung triggered the explosives. Not enough to destroy anything, just enough to overload the power grid in a cascading failure. Lights flickered across the station. Emergency alarms started wailing. In her command center on the ghost wind, Yoonji smiled. Now. She activated every program she had spent 2 days writing. Locks opened. Doors unsealed. Biometric scanners failed. And in Section 17, 300 prison cells stopped being prison cells. Dong-hyun was ready. The moment his door opened, he was moving. He had told everyone the plan in whispers and hand signals over the past 2 days. When the doors opened, they ran, not randomly, not panicking. Dong-hyun had mapped every route, every corridor, every checkpoint. He led them through paths he had memorized, avoiding the main security stations. Behind them, guards realized what was happening. Alarms that had been about power failures became alarms about escaping prisoners. In the arena, Taeho heard the alarms and knew the plan was working. He just had to survive long enough for it to matter. Krelvar hit him again, this time breaking ribs. Taeho felt them crack, felt the breath leave his lungs. He fell hard. Stay down, Krelvar said in clicking language that Taeho's translator picked up. This is over. Taeho pushed himself up, slowly, everything hurt. But he stood. The crowd's roar changed. It wasn't just entertainment anymore. It was something else. Confusion, maybe. Even the aliens had never seen someone keep getting up like this. Why? Krelvar asked, genuinely puzzled. You cannot win. Why stand? Because they're watching, Taeho gasped. And I need them to see that we don't quit. He didn't mean the arena crowd. He meant his people wherever they were right now. He meant anyone who had ever been told they were weak, that they should surrender. That fighting was pointless. Krelvar raised his blade arms for the killing strike. Then Hana's voice crackled in Taeho's earpiece. Prisoners are out. We're moving to the docking bay. Hold on, Captain. Taeho smiled through bloody teeth. No need, he went down. Let himself fall. Let Krelvar's blade come down toward his throat. Then Sungmin shot out the arena lights. The entire stadium went dark. Emergency lighting flickered on, casting everything in red. The crowd panicked, beings pushing and shoving to get out. In the chaos, Hana dropped into the arena from the spectator section. She landed next to Taeho, pulled him up. Can you run? Can I breathe? Taeho coughed. I'll take that as a maybe. Let's go. They ran through the arena's service entrance while Krelvar roared behind them. But the Vrelian champion was trapped by the crowd, by protocol, by the chaos of the station systems failing. In the command box, Vrelkar stood very still. He watched the tactical displays showing prisoners streaming toward the docking bays, watched his perfect trap fall apart. This was never about the fight, he said quietly. This was never about winning. His aide clicked nervously. Should we seal the docking bays? No, Vrelkar said. I want to see what they do next. The docking bay was a war zone. Station security had figured out what was happening and was trying to stop 300 running humans from reaching a ship. They had weapons. They had numbers. They had training. But they didn't have Dong-hyun. The engineer had led his people through maintenance corridors that bypassed the main security checkpoints. By the time the guards realized where the prisoners were, they were already at the Ghost Wind. Mi-young had the engines running. The cargo bay doors were open. Everyone in, now. 300 people poured into a ship designed for maybe 20. They packed into every space, every corner, every corridor. The ship groaned under the weight. Yuna was one of the last in, helping elderly colonists and children. She saw familiar faces, people she had treated, people she had talked to during those long months. They were really escaping. They were really going home. Then she saw Taeho being half-carried by Hana and Sung-min. His face was a mess of blood and bruises. You actually came back, she said. I promised, Taeho said. You're an idiot. Yeah. Yuna grabbed his face and kissed him hard, then pulled back. Thank you. We're not safe yet, Taeho warned. As if to prove his point, weapons fire hit the ship's hull. Station security was finally bringing heavy weapons to bear. Everyone in? Sung-min shouted from the pilot's seat. Go! Hana yelled back. The Ghost Wind's engines roared. The ship lifted off its landing pad with 326 people aboard instead of 6. Every system screamed warnings. The engine was overheating. Life support was maxed out. The hull was taking damage from security weapons. Mi-young worked frantically at the engineering console. The ship's not designed for this weight. We're not going to make it. We're going to make it, Taeho said. He staggered to the bridge, held himself up against a console. Yoonji, upload the station's flight control codes. Already done, Yoonji said. But Captain, there are 6 defense ships moving to intercept. We can't outrun them with all this weight. Taeho looked at the view screen. 6 Vrelian fighters were launching from the station's military docks. The Ghost Wind was fast, but not fast enough. Not carrying 300 people. Can we jump to hyperspace? He asked. Not yet, Sung-min said. We're too close to the station. We need at least 2 more minutes to reach safe jump distance. 2 minutes. The fighters would reach them in 1. Then something unexpected happened. A massive ship appeared on the scanners. Not Vrelian. Human. Military. Admiral Ji-woo's face appeared on the communication screen. Captain Taeho, she said. You seem to be in trouble. Behind her, Taeho could see the bridge of a human destroyer, fully staffed and armed. Admiral? The Earth Council was very upset about the theft of the Ghost Wind, Ji-woo said. So upset that they authorized me to lead a task force to retrieve it. Unfortunately, by the time we arrived, you had already gotten yourself into a fight. She smiled. I suppose we should help. The destroyer moved between the Ghost Wind and the pursuing fighters. Its weapons came online. All Vrelian vessels, this is Admiral Ji-woo of the Earth Fleet, stand down or be destroyed. The Vrelian fighters stopped. They didn't have authorization to start a war with Earth, not over escaped slaves. You're clear, Captain, Ji-woo said. Get your people home. The Ghost Wind jumped to hyperspace. 300 people who had been slaves an hour ago were now free. In his command box on Core Station, Vrel-Kar watched them go. The Ghost Wind limped into Earth orbit 3 weeks later, traveling at half speed with every system on the edge of failure. 300 people crammed into spaces meant for 6 had been hard on the ship, but Mi-young had kept it flying somehow through sheer will and engineering genius. Taeho stood on the bridge, his ribs still taped from the arena fight. Through the viewport, Earth filled the view, blue and green and perfect. Behind him he could hear people crying, not sad tears, relief, joy. The sound of people who thought they would never see home again. Earth Control is hailing us, Yoonji said quietly. They're demanding we surrender the ship and prepare to be boarded. Do it, Taeho said. We knew this was coming. The military escort ships surrounded them. Marines boarded through the docking tube, weapons ready, expecting resistance. Instead, they found 300 exhausted colonists and 6 people who looked like they hadn't slept in weeks. The Marine commander stared at the crowd. What? How many people are on this ship? 306, Taeho said, including crew. The ship's certified for 20. Yeah, we noticed. They were separated. The colonists were taken to medical facilities for processing. The crew was taken to military detention. Taeho expected handcuffs. He got them, but he also got something else. As the Marines led him through the docking station, people were watching. Station workers. Other ship crews. They were looking at their personal screens, reading something. Some of them were crying. One woman, a dock worker, made eye contact with Taeho. She saluted. He didn't understand until they reached the detention center and he saw a screen in the waiting room. The news was playing. His face was on every channel. Yuna had recorded everything. She had documented the 9 months of captivity, the conditions in Section 17, the slave markets, the processing, the sales. She had testimonials from dozens of colonists. She had evidence of the Vrelian Empire's systematic enslavement of humans across the outer colonies, and she had released it to every news network before the military could stop her. The galaxy was watching. Earth was watching. Humanity was angry. Admiral Jiwoo came to see him that evening. She looked tired. "You've started a political firestorm," she said. "I rescued 300 people," Taeho replied. "You stole a military vessel. You violated neutral space. You assaulted security personnel. I did what the military wouldn't do." Jiwoo sat down across from him. "I know. That's why half the council wants to give you a medal, and the other half wants to court-martial you. What do you want?" "I want to know if it was worth it." Taeho thought about Yuna's kiss in the docking bay, about Donghyun organizing 300 people to escape together, about children who would grow up free instead of enslaved, about people who had their lives back. "Yes," he said. "It was worth it." Jiwoo nodded slowly. "The public agrees with you. There are protests outside this building right now. People are demanding action. They're asking why we left those colonists to suffer for 9 months when one ship could rescue them. And what's the answer? There isn't a good one." Jiwoo stood. "The council is meeting tomorrow. They'll decide what to do with you and your crew. And the Vrelians? That's a bigger question." She paused at the door. "Did you know that the Vrelians have been taking humans for decades? Not just from New Haven, from dozens of colonies. Your rescue made the news and suddenly people started coming forward. Families who lost members to raids, colonies that were hit and never reported. There are thousands of humans in slavery out there, Captain. Thousands." The weight of that number settled on Taeho like a physical thing. The next day, they brought him to the council chamber. The room was packed with media, with politicians, with military brass. His crew was there too: Hana, Sungmin, Yoonji, Jae-sung, Mi-young. All of them in clean uniforms, all of them standing straight. The head of the council, an old man named Representative Kyung-soo, looked down at them. "You are charged with theft of military property, unauthorized military action, violation of neutral space, and about 15 other offenses. How do you plead?" "Guilty," Taeho said. "To all of it." A murmur went through the crowd. "You don't deny any of the charges?" "No, we stole the ship. We violated neutral space. We did everything you said, and we'd do it again." "That's not helping your case," Kyung-soo said. "I'm not trying to help my case," Taeho replied. "I'm trying to tell the truth. 300 people were enslaved. The military did nothing. So we did something. If that's a crime, then fine. We're criminals." Yuna stood up in the gallery. "Then I'm a criminal too. I helped them. I gave them information." Donghyun stood next to her. "I organized the escape. Arrest me too." Then others started standing. Colonists, families, one by one until all 300 were on their feet. "We're all criminals," Yuna said. "We all helped." "Are you going to arrest everyone who wanted to be free?" The chamber erupted in noise. Media shouted questions. Politicians argued. It was chaos. Representative Kyung-soo hammered for order. When the room finally quieted, he looked at Taeho for a long moment. "This council is postponing judgment pending further investigation," he said. "You and your crew are released to house arrest while we determine appropriate action." It wasn't a victory, but it wasn't a conviction either. Outside the building, thousands of people had gathered. They cheered when Taeho and his crew emerged. Signs filled the air. "Bring them all home. Don't abandon our people. Send the fleet." A reporter pushed through the crowd. "Captain Taeho, what do you have to say to the families of the thousands still enslaved?" Taeho looked at the camera. "We're coming for you. All of you, however long it takes. We don't leave our people behind." That night, Taeho received a visitor he didn't expect. Vrelkar sat in an Earth detention cell, having been captured when Admiral Jiwoo's task force disabled his command ship. The alien looked smaller somehow, separated from his empire and his soldiers. Why did you come to see me? Frelkar asked. You asked me a question once, Tejo said. 9 months ago, you asked why humans do what we do. I remember. I told you we take your people because you are weak. And now? Vrelkar's translator was silent for a long time. Now I understand my mistake. Weakness is not measured in strength or weapons. It is measured in will. He leaned forward. I gave you one mercy. One. I spared one human because I was curious. That one human became 6. Those 6 became 300. Those 300 are now becoming thousands. Your people are mobilizing, Captain. Your fleets are preparing. Your military is moving. All because I showed mercy to one. Yes, Tejo said. I have doomed my empire. You taught us where to find your markets. You showed us that the Vrelians could be beaten. You proved that mercy could be repaid. Tejo stood. You were right about one thing. The weak do serve the strong. You were just wrong about which of us was which. He left the cell. 2 months later, the first Earth rescue fleet launched. 20 ships carrying trained teams, all heading to known slave markets. Admiral Jiwoo commanded from the flagship. Tejo stood on the bridge of a new ship, one built for rescue operations. His crew was with him. Hana checking weapons, Sungmin at the helm, Yunji monitoring signals, Jae-sung preparing medical supplies, Myung already modifying the engines, and Yuna, who had volunteered immediately, who refused to stay safe while others were still enslaved. You know this is just the beginning, she said to Tejo. There are thousands out there. It could take years. Then it takes years, Tejo replied. They weren't alone. Behind them, dozens of other ships carried crews of volunteers. Some were former military. Some were civilians. Some were colonists who had been rescued and wanted to help rescue others. All of them had heard the message. Humanity doesn't abandon its own. The fleet jumped to hyperspace. Their target was a Vrelian market 3 sectors away. Intelligence said 200 humans were being held there. 200 people who were about to learn that someone was coming for them. On Earth, in his cell, Vrelkar watched the news reports of the fleet's departure. He understood now. He had spared one human as an amusement, a curiosity, a whim. That one human had come back. Had rescued 300. Had inspired thousands. Had started a movement that would topple empires and rewrite the rules of the galaxy. One mercy. One moment of curiosity, and from that single act humanity had learned its most important lesson. They would never let their people remain in chains. They would search every market, break into every prison, fight every battle, because one human had been spared and had come back for all the others. The message was clear across the galaxy now. Humanity had arrived, and they protected their own always.